Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, what you know about benchmark? They're speaking the facts that you wanna hear. They rep a jersey, the vision is clear. Diamonds glisten like a chandelier. You know what I'm here for, like Marshawn Lynch. At clutch time, we do not flinch. Real brothers, we do not switch. Hit home runs with the right pitch. Who run the city? What to do when they hating on you? I feel like Kobe 2010. Taking an L, all I need is a win. Business is business, you know how they go. They clearing the seats, now it's time to grow. Tune in now, gotta be in the know. Showtime, bitch, my about to blow. We know.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Podcast. We got the big three on tonight. Chris was not able to join us. He is out celebrating more life. Happy birthday to his pops. I know he watches the show, so shout out to him. But of course, we are joined by Miles, Jack Harlow, Wholesome, man, Davenport. He was on Jack Harlow before all of y'all. Miles, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. I was on Blast before a lot of people too, so you got to add that in there too.
Blast better than Jack Harlow, so you best be talking about Blast.
Chill out.
Oh God.
Oh, so we started.
Bro.
That's a whole different debate.
It is. I'm not even gonna get into it.
Hey yo, this is a poll. We're gonna post a poll and see what the people
They don't know
say.
Blast, bro. They don't know. The listeners do not know Blast.
They won't. They'll know Jack.
They'll know Jack. Jack's gonna win the poll by a landslide, and they ain't heard Blast stuff.
They've basically both been around for the same amount of time, but
that 2-song EP he put out,
Jack got like a number one. So I don't know until Blast gets one. We end up the combo right there.
Blast like Roddy Rich of R&B. I just get a Roddy Rich vibe from him. Him and Roddy gonna get a song together and it's gonna blow up. Just watch.
Both from Cali.
It's gonna happen.
But Larry June better than both of them. So
who?
Larry June.
Oh, I've heard good things. Mm-hmm. I gotta tune into more music from him.
I haven't heard it yet, but Miles rarely posts, and when he does post on social media, is Jack Harlow, Larry June, Blast, or some Jets stuff. So, and it's never on his actual story. It's just little feeds and whatnot. But we are also joined by Greg Sinsmere, Mr. Hot Takes Debate Your Mother. I don't want to hear it. It's always Nets Tate. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, bro. Tomorrow's gonna be a Golladay. Tomorrow's gonna be a Golladay for Giants fans. That's what it's gonna be. It's the front page of the New York Post and all the big newspapers gonna say it's a Golladay. When the Giants sign Kenny Golladay tomorrow, he's going in for a visit. So I'm great. Tomorrow I'll be real hyped. Don't let the Giants get Golladay, bro. I'm telling y'all, they're not gonna hear the end of it for me.
We're gonna start off right there then. So it's reports that Golladay is supposed to be signing with the Giants. He's meeting with them tomorrow. One of the people that was a backup option was Juju Smith-Schuster. Obviously, Greg is more for Kenny Golladay, but comparing the two, who would be a better fit, Juju Smith-Schuster or Kenny Golladay? Juju Smith-Schuster last year, 81 catches, 9 touchdowns last season, but he mainly was in the slot. You already have a slot receiver basically with Shepard, but he is only 24, who will grow with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. But Kenny Golladay is a 6'4", 220 wide receiver. Only played 5 games last season. The main thing in question is his health. Can he stay healthy a full season? Who's a better fit for the Giants?
You want me to go first here? I think it's Golladay, the better fit. And the reason why is I think the Giants need an X receiver. They need an outside receiver. I love Darius Slayton. I think Darius Slayton can be number 1 in the league. I really believe that. He has hands. He's fast. He's working on little technicalities of being a route runner, and that's where he's going to separate himself. Like he's got the ability. I like Slayton a lot, but I like him better as a 2 right now. Get Golladay, a proven 1 in this league, a guy who had 11 touchdowns, a red zone threat. When you're into the red zone, you can just throw that fade to him. He's coming down with that ball 90% of the time. He was the best with contested catches in the league, according to Pro Football Focus last year. I know he only played 5 games. The health is the only concern I have about him. Nothing else. He's got wheels for a guy his size, and he really reminded me of Plaxico. And I think that what's going to happen is he's going to do exactly what Plaxico did for Eli for Daniel Jones. He's going to give Daniel Jones a big target for the ball too. And here's the biggest thing too. The reason why I like him more than Juju Smith-Schuster, to be quite honest with you, if we're just throwing away like everything else, the injuries and all the other stuff, is the fact that with the game plan, he allows us to go vertical. I can throw the ball down the field on the seam to him. I can throw the ball down the field on a double move. He has the ability to come down with that ball on a 50-50 ball. And Daniel Jones was one of the best deep ball passers in the NFL last year. Like that's what the Giants want to go with this. That's what they signed John Ross, so he can go down the field and stretch the field out. They brought Freddie Kitchens in to be another offensive head coach there to help out with that and make the offense more vertical, because last year they weren't getting vertical at all. So that's why I like Kenny Golladay more. Juju Smith-Schuster is a very good player, but you're right, he played in the slot more. And we already have a guy in Shepard who can play in the slot. Doesn't make a ton of sense. It's pretty redundant there to do that twice. I definitely would like Kenny Golladay. I think that would take the offense to the next level, and it takes Daniel Jones to the next level. And now we get to see him. We get to have a real conversation about where he's at. Now we can talk about. We get Kenny Golladay. He plays next year, and the Giants get the thing going. Now we can start to evaluate Daniel Jones. So that happens. We can't talk about it because you got to get him in as his number 1 guy. He doesn't have it yet.
Miles, you agreeing that Kenny Golladay is a better option for the Giants?
Yeah, I think he's a better option. I mean, he's already proven that he can be a number 1 and handle that role. Juju, when he was thrust into that role, he kind of struggled a little bit. Even though, Matt Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger is kind of, at this point in their careers, one is a lot better than the other. So you can argue that, but Kenny Galladay's shown that he doesn't need much. Like, just throw it up to him and he'll go get it. Like, he led, I think, the league a couple seasons ago in touchdowns. Like, he's a red zone threat, and that's something that they don't really have right now, because either it's Evan Ingram dropping passes or fumbles from Daniel Jones, which he did a little less this year, but still it's an issue. He's improving. But I do like I like Kenny Golladay as an option for them. Definitely an upgrade from Sterling Shepard being the number 1, which I feel like he was operating as that this last season. And as good as Sterling Shepard is, he's more of a number 2 than a number 1 on most teams. So if you bring in that top guy, that top dog, then I mean we can evaluate Daniel Jones. We've had a lot of film on him, but let's see what he can do with a good receiver.
Yeah, you got to get pieces around him. You see what the Cardinals are doing with Kyler Murray. I was just talking to my dad about this. You don't get to see what a quarterback is until you really invest and give them all the tools in the shed. They gave him AJ Green today on a 1-year deal. They went out and traded traded nothing. They robbed the Texans for why am I forgetting this guy? Hopkins.
AJ Hopkins.
Right. Like, they gave a bunch of weapons out there. And so and now you're seeing him. Now you're seeing him. He took a big step. He was in the MVP conversation, right? I'm not saying Daniel Jones will be in the MVP conversation next year if he gets Kenny Golladay. What I am saying is you're going to see a guy who's going to be playing to his full potential. You're going to see the full array of weapons. I do think that Evan Ingram's going to play better next year. I really do. I hope so for him. It's really his last shot. So, but I really do think he'll be better next year. I hope that man's living on a drug machine. Because you couldn't want to root for a guy more than Evan Ingram. He really seems like a nice guy. I just can't catch the ball. So I hope he comes back into a big year. And with all those weapons with Shep, with Slayton, and you got Kenny Golladay, they may still draft the receiver. You may double down here. There's no reason why the Giants wouldn't double down and get Kyle Pitts if he wasn't there, or get Jalen Waddle. Like, they're trying to go vertical here. I know it seems redundant to have John Ross and Waddle, but why not?
Well, Ross is only on a 1-year deal, so it would make sense.
It would make
Waddle.
Right. It's
Especially you can't really count on John Ross to be there because, I mean, if you look at his career,
Injuries.
it's just been injury after injury that's kind of cut him from being what he could be. Because he showed that he could play last year. Then he got hurt again.
Yep. I'm saying he caught Diggs. He was taking him to the house. Like, he is really explosive. If he's healthy for the Giants, it is a game changer too. And that's an underrated signing if he can stay healthy. But, because of the health, you don't know what you're going to get there. But I really think that the Golladay signing would change Daniel Jones' entire outlook on his career and the trajectory of his career. The Giants know this. This is why they're bringing him for a visit. There's some questions about the health history. They're gonna check him out, and I fully expect him to walk out of Meadowlands tomorrow with a deal in hand, and for New York to be celebrating, for me to stop working. If I hear this at 1 o'clock, I'm not working no more. It's on. I'm just gonna watch TV, watch the news the rest of the day because it's gonna be a Golladay in New York. For real.
Hopefully he's holding hands with a lineman because I don't know. Daniel Jones can't run around like Russell Wilson back there. Saquon couldn't do it last year, and I don't want to see Daniel Jones do it. So
the line was much improved towards the latter half of the season. They're gonna go young on the offensive line. They Solders. They released Solders into the deal for Solder. They told us the details. It's like it's like $4 million he's getting. Nothing too crazy. But yes, like they got to get better there. I think they may try to beef that part up of the line again in the draft. They may talk about that there, or they may even sign the guy on a 1-year deal again in free agency as well. But no, man, I mean, I think the Giants are gonna be in real good shape to get their hands on Golladay. And it's nothing against Juju. I actually don't even know the market for Juju. The better question is where's Juju going? Is he going back to the Steelers in the 1 year? Like, where's he going?
No,
what's the market? He's not, right? They're not having him back. What's the market for Juju Smith-Schuster? I know where Kenny's going. I don't know where Juju's going.
There's a market for him. It's just they're not getting the money and offers that they thought they were just because the salary cap's down now. So teams aren't going to shell out $18, $19 million a year for a receiver when that'll eat heavily into the cap.
Yeah. Not only that, you got to factor in he was a part of that receiving core that led the league in drops. So speaking of, the Giants, you already got somebody that drops the ball on Evan Ingram. I don't think you want to add another person that's going to be dropping the ball. So
right.
I know that's probably factoring in. And of course, the off the field stuff, that's factoring in on teams. They are great for saying we don't want a distraction in the locker room. Mm-hmm. If Pittsburgh, one of the most kind of like basic professional type of teams, was not rocking with that, none of these other teams want to be able to deal with that circus. Speaking of, though, teams that, doing things that may not make sense, they decide to have a number 1, a number 2, a number 3, and a number 4 on their roster. The Chicago Bears signed Andy Dalton for 1 year, $10 million. They still has Nick Foles on the roster, and it's reports that they have hopes to be able to trade Nick Foles in pursuit of signing Alex Smith also. Dalton reunites with his quarterback coach in Cincy, Bill Lazor. Thoughts on the Bears signing, who were supposedly in the sweepstakes to try to get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson, but they end up with Andy Dalton as their possible one.
The question for me is Trubisky gone? Is he?
Could be.
He's still there? Are you saying he should be? Are you saying that because he's asked, or are you saying that because he just should be?
I don't know if they picked up his option though. That's the other thing. I feel like it's like an option. I mean, Trubisky's not as bad as people make him out to be, but he's not as good as the quarterbacks they could have taken. So it's almost like, I don't want to be near you because you remind me of what we could have had. So I would hate to be a Bears fan. I'm so glad I don't have any affiliation with Chicago, period, because that defense could be elite. I feel like if they had a good quarterback, the defense would feel motivated to play up to their potential. But watching Nick Foles and Trubisky do what they do, and somehow they made the playoffs last year, which shout out to them. But I don't know. Andy Dalton, 1 year, $10 million deal. They're talking about they would throw like 5 first-round picks at the Texans for Deshaun, and it's like he doesn't want to go there. Nobody wants to go there. Like it's a nasty franchise that doesn't know what to do when it comes to quarterbacks. So it's not surprising at all. I mean, Andy Dalton, he showed he's at least serviceable last year with the Cowboys. If you want to go there, I mean, he kept them in the playoff hunt to an extent, even though every team in the NFC East was terrible last year. So to each his own, but I don't see what this does unless they draft a quarterback, which again, that'll be a heartbreaker for Bears fans because you just look back 4 years ago and Deshaun was there, Mahomes was there, and now you're stuck with Andy Dalton 5 years later. It's got to be a lot of drunken Bears fans out there, especially right now after that signing.
Yeah, Trubisky is no longer with the team, so their roster is Andy Dalton, Nick Foles, with hopes of getting Alex Smith, being that Matt Nagy, worked with Alex Smith in Kansas City, so he has a little soft spot for him.
That's their best bet. Alex Smith is their best bet. I mean, he'll get him in the playoffs. He's their best bet. The Dalton experiment is a horrible idea. He's not good. He didn't look particularly good with the Cowboys at all last year. He's lucky he played in the division he played in last year. He looked horrible. I mean, at times, he looked wildly inconsistent. Is really what it was. But yeah, I mean, Miles, you summed it up. It's been horrible to be a Bears fan for the last 5-6 years, right? And quarterback play with the Bears has historically been bad. I mean, I just remember Rex Grossman. So I think back to him. I don't remember them ever having a particularly good quarterback out, and Jay Cutler was the most talented quarterback they had, but he was wildly inconsistent himself. And didn't really care that much about football. Was just a guy who was talented and going out there and winging it. And so it's tough. It's tough because they have a good defense. They have a defense that's ready to win a championship right now. But and even great receivers like Mooney, the kid they drafted, is talented. It's super talented. And then you obviously have Allen Robinson you brought back. I'm sure he is furious. And I would not be surprised. I would not. Antonio was just punching air. That's what he's doing right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if Allen Robinson sits out to start the season. I just wouldn't be surprised if you see that happen. It would be the least surprising development of anything that happens this season. But yeah, I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible. They swung for the fences with Russell Wilson. The reported deal, by the way, was 3 first-rounders, 2 starters as well, I believe is what it was. I think that might have been it. But that's so 3 first-rounders and 2 starters for Russell Wilson.
That's desperate.
It's the market value. Deshaun going for 5 first-round picks. It's either a similar deal. You're gonna get starters that are good and 3 first-round picks, or you're getting 5 first-rounders. I've been telling people they were 5. They were 5 first-rounders. But teams don't want to give up 5 first-rounders because you're going to starve for the next 5 years. But I still think it can still happen. I would trade 5 first-rounders with Deshaun Watson right now. As a Giant fan, I would.
When I saw the reports, I already knew. Like, when I saw they offer, I heard Greg's voice in my head. See, I told y'all. As soon as I saw that they had offered 3 first-round picks, but they turned it down. So we'll see what happens in Chicago. As we already have mentioned, they have a pretty good defense. It's just they offense have not been able to do their part to help out the defense. Transition to flag on the play. First one, accept or decline. P&B Rock calls out his friends for sliding in his girl's DM, or accept or decline.
Except, why you got friends that are sliding in his girl's DM? Why is he calling people that slide in his girl's DMs as friends? Idiot. What are we talking about? So disrespectful. Hey, you gotta drop some new music too. I don't really care about guys sliding in his girl DM. Drop some music. I have some unreleased PNB Rock on my phone. I probably shouldn't be saying this on the podcast because my boy went to the studio with him. It's kind of hard, not gonna lie. I need some new PNB Rock.
All right, check you out over here. Greg Button got unreleased music.
I'm gonna send it to the chat. It's hard.
Greg Button.
Send it to the chat. Next one. Miles's boy, Clyde Frazier, admits that he only admires Al Horford for marrying Miss Universe. Accept or decline. Mike Breen mentioned all of his accolades, and Clyde Frazier responded, well, that's not what I admire most about Al Horford. Mike Breen said, what is it? And he said, Al Horford marrying Miss Universe.
Well, Clyde gotta calm down, get off that Viagra. Clyde gotta calm down. Clyde gotta chill.
That's Miles' boy.
Knocked down too long.
Yo, Clyde talking spicy on MSG. They ain't bring him there for that. But also, I will say this too: the most memorable thing about Al Horford when his career is over is the fact that he married Miss Universe. His game is unbelievably dry. He's a good player though, but just dry. I don't like his game, bro. And he's good. His post defense is really good, but he's just a dry player to watch. So yeah, Clyde's right, but Clyde can get off that. Clyde's too old to be talking like that. He got a wife at the crib.
Miles, do we got a wife at the crib?
I don't know. The way he dresses, I don't know if anyone would stay with him. It's a lot of colors to deal with at the house. That house is loud, I'm sure.
That was the Viagra talking, bro. Telling you, bro. He was on the move.
Mixed with some vodka. I don't know.
Yeah, he was on some other stuff getting on there. He's probably don't let me find out, Clyde.
Where he trying to get a sponsorship with Blue Chew. Last one for flag on the play, accept or decline. Eric Dion Warren used a loaner car to rob a bank to come back to the BMW dealership and buy the loaner car with the stolen money. Accept or decline.
Times is hard out here. You got to get it how you can. You might have been a few dollars short, so I wouldn't go that route, but hey, they might write a movie about that. That sounds like another plot for Fast and the Furious or something like that.
That sounds like it happened in Florida.
Yeah, Florida man
Yeah.
robs the bank, buys a car with it.
That sounds like a Florida story, bro.
Funny enough, it was Texas.
Oh, okay. Texas fits the bill too. They want some real dumb stuff out there in Texas.
Yeah,
Right.
Funny thing with it, he didn't have a gun. He used a bag from a food fast restaurant, put his hand inside of it, and used that as an imitation of a gun. And they actually caught him 15 minutes after because they caught the plates of the loaner car. He parked it where there was a camera. So as he was trying to buy the car, the dealership was getting a call that the car was used for a robbery.
And what race is this man?
Don't say it. Don't say it. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know.
Yo, I'm so mad, bro. I was hoping it wasn't that.
Oh man.
I'm mad as well. Next one, bro. I'm mad. Got me tight.
In other news, Duke and Kentucky both missed the tournament for the first time since 1976, since Gerald Ford was president. Duke ended off the season 13-11. They had 3 different times with a 3-game losing streak, and Kentucky finished at 9-16. This is their second time to miss the Big Dance since Coach Cal became coach in 2009. What changes need to be made for this not to happen again for these programs, if any changes at all? Is this really just because of COVID for these 2 teams?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's mainly to do with that. I mean, I don't know what the practice schedules were like. I don't know if anyone was able to get any chemistry going together, because usually Coach Cal's teams kind of start off slow. They win, but they start off slow, might lose a game here and there, and then coming down the stretch, they're like, it's a cohesive group. But this one, it was bad from the start. We had one guy who lost his marbles on the bench and we had to remove him from the team, and he just transferred, I think, last week. And then I think Terrence Clark got hurt. My boy Brandon, he didn't play up to what I thought he'd be, and I hope he comes back, because I don't think there's any one and done players on this Kentucky team this year, honestly. Like, there wasn't one, even though I just saw Isaiah Jackson just declared, but he might have been the only one just because he's an athletic freak, kind of like Jeremy Grant, like in that mode. But yeah, I hope those guys come back because you didn't really prove anything this year. So maybe another year, the restrictions kind of loosen up next year, more practice time with the coaches. I mean, that's how I'm going about it. I'm guessing that's the same thing that happened with Duke too, because I've never seen them be this bad. Like 13-11. I mean, I can't remember the last time Duke had double-digit losses in a season. Probably like 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. It's been a long time because Duke is always up there. But yes, it's a rough year. Some teams can handle it, like Gonzaga, because they got veterans on there. But these young teams that bring in these youth and freshmen, they don't have any time with each other. So I'm chalking it up to COVID.
He's right. You got to think about what these young teams, all these freshmen coming in. A lot of these kids coming in don't really know how to play basketball. Like they are really talented basketball players. They were on their high school teams and they were just told to shoot repeatedly, and they were better than everybody else, so it worked out. But when you get to college, you get to learn how to actually play basketball. You have to learn how to play basketball in a cohesive way and play within a system. And if you need practice time on the court to do that. Kentucky has thrived off of that. Right, Kentucky has thrived off of that the last couple of years. They have late season runs every year. Calipari turns it around mid-season. They struggle to start out. To have no veterans, to have no practice time, to have no off season, to have an abbreviated off season at that, and to expect these guys to go out there and play well and make it wasn't going to happen. So yeah, I'm not surprised they didn't play well it works. It's a double-edged sword. The best team in college basketball this year are teams that have been together. Baylor. They have vets. They have got seniors. They have guys that have been there. Oklahoma State has guys that have been there too, and then they plugged an amazing basketball player into it, right? And they have a chance. I think they should have been eligible. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, they had to make sure a kid got in there. So yeah, that's the way it works. Like the best team in college basketball this year are teams with the vets that can plug in that young, talented player into the fold, but with Kentucky, when you bring in 4 or 5 freshmen and most of them are starting, you're going to be horrible. And they looked horrible all year from the start. And it's hard to coach guys at that level. Coaching myself, I have an appreciation for these guys who coach even more than before. It's not easy. So yeah, no, I mean, I don't hold it against Cal. I don't hold it against Coach K. It's just the nature of the beast. That's the cards they were dealt this year.
Speaking of though, so we do have the March brackets are out. Who are y'all picking as the winners? Who is your favorites? I'm going with Michigan. I'm going with Juwan Howard. I like their team. I like what he's done with the program. I think Michigan is going to pull it out.
I got Gonzaga. I think they finally get it done. This team is just collectively top to bottom. Like they brought in Jalen Suggs, who he's been a difference maker since day one. They got shooters on this team, a nice set of big men. They're deep. Like this team it doesn't have that many freshmen. And the one that they do have is making a huge impact. But it's mainly sophomores, juniors, and seniors, which, like I said, this year it's key having those upperclassmen because they played together even before this year. Because last year, that season only got cut off at March. All those guys had played together for a couple years. So they've had that competitive experience with each other. But I think they're hungry this year. They've been the best team in college basketball by far. I wish they would have been able to play Baylor early in the season. I wish it didn't get canceled. But maybe we'll see that down the road because I think Baylor's up there, although I could see Oklahoma State making a run. Texas is really good. I think you got to watch out for those Big 12 teams, though. That's all I'll say. Like Gonzaga is my pick, but those Big 12 teams, they're definitely getting hot at the right time.
For Gonzaga, if they do pull it out, this will be the first team since 1976 to actually be undefeated the whole season and to win a championship. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. I think because they haven't lost, they're going to lose at some point in the tournament. It's hard to do that. If they do, I mean, I think they're the best college basketball team I've ever seen. It wouldn't surprise me. It's a popular pick to pick Gonzaga, and it makes a lot of sense. If I'm going to go with a team, though, Illinois. The Big Ten, dominant. They got Adam Miller. They got a lot of good players. They got Ayo, really, really talented, talented player. Probably going to go to the league this year, I'd imagine. Just had such a good
Kofi too. You can't forget about him.
I'm saying. They got Andre Curbelo, the point guard, too. They got some good players on that team, man. They're really talented. I think they're going to come out. I think the Big Ten was the best conference in college basketball this whole year. They're battle tested. They've had some losses. I think it's important to lose some games. I actually think losing is beneficial. You learn from them. So, hey, Gonzaga's a great team. No, but for me, it's going to boil down to I think it's going to be either Illinois or Baylor. Baylor's defense is incredible, and defense wins championships. And their defense is wildly good. So, but yeah, sleeper team, Oklahoma State because of Cade. Cade's different. He's cut different, for real.
I think you see something like remember when Ja Morant that first year he was there, and he was able to get them to that second round, and they almost won that second round game. I think you're going to see something similar with Cade Cunningham. Get out that first round, second round. He might be able to get him out of that too. He's that talented.
There's a lot of NBA guys in this tournament. Scotty Lewis with Florida, the guy who can go to the league. Maybe not this year, but Florida has some really talented young players too. There's a lot of good players that can make or break their draft status. With this Jalen Suggs is going to put on a show. He just is. I like him a lot too. It's going to be a lot of reasons to tune into this whole thing. And of course, we're from Jersey. Rutgers is dancing. Their first matchup, who they got in the first round? Oh, they got Clemson in the first. That's the Jersey point guard there, Alamir Dawes they're playing against. That's gonna be a tough game. That's a tough first one. That is. They might get bounced.
They're gonna lose that game.
But they also are Big Ten tested. That's the best conference in college basketball. I think they're gonna win at least one round. Because of that, I'm telling you, bro, no one got a tougher schedule than the Big Ten team. So
I think people gotta look out to just a team to watch that might be able to get to that second round, might be able to do something. Alabama, they've looked good. Shout out to Jersey guard.
JQ.
Shout out to him. A lot of people wrote him off, transferred at Alabama. He's been balling out. So I think that's another team, another player to watch out for in this tournament that could have a big tourney. Speaking of, though, transition into some NBA talk. A lot of these players from the March Madness are, like you said, there's going to be some NBA players. It's definitely going to be some scouts there. People's draft stocks are either going to rise or drop from this month of March. Somebody's stock that has been rising and in his opinion is not valued as well is Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris against the Knicks, he drops 30, plays a good game. At one point in the fourth quarter, after a good clutch bucket, he yells, "I'm supposed to be an all-star." Do you agree with Tobias Harris' sentiments that he should have been an all-star? I get it. All-star already has happened. It's been passed now, but hey, some players need a little extra motivation to keep them going. Tobias Harris, 20.5 PPG, 7.5 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 41% from three-point, only on 3.6 attempts, though. Is Tobias an all-star?
No. Who's he getting over?
Word.
Who? Who is he more deserving than on that Eastern team that made it?
And he would definitely be behind Jimmy Butler, if anything, because I'm not putting him over Jimmy Butler, even though he missed some time. But Jimmy, he's more of an all-star than Tobias Harris, and he's the third. He's the third guy on that team.
Yeah. Who? Tobias?
Harris,
He's second, but okay.
Second, yeah.
Ben
doesn't. Yeah,
it's not Ben's thing. Scoring isn't really Ben's thing. So yeah, he's
looked at. He's looked at as the third guy on that team.
I don't know why. Yo, do you guys think that Wizards commentator was right about Ben being the most overrated player in the NBA?
I won't say most overrated, but he is overrated.
Ben's overrated.
I wouldn't say most overrated, but he is overrated. But what I really, really like about his comments, he came out the next day and stood by it. I love that. I love that because you see it all the time. Players and analysts, they have an opinion, like except Shaq and Charles, they don't give a darn. They double down too. I like it when you double down. Don't get scared now. Stand by it. If that's what you really believe, stand by it and own it.
Own that. And I didn't mean to change the subject from Tobias. It's just blasphemy. He's not an all-star. There's no one he deserves it more than in the East that made the team. And Jimmy took the first half of the year off. The only reason why, like, it'd be less of a conversation if Jimmy actually played basketball first half of the year. So, nah, man, Tobias is a really good player. He is. He's a really good player. He's solid. He can shoot the ball. He's a 3-level scorer. I don't think he's overpaid. I think he's paid market value for that. If Hayward can get the bag like that, Tobias can too, because they're about the same level of player. That's what we're looking at. So
would you consider Tobias being undervalued? As you mentioned, a lot of people view him as that third option in Philly. Yeah. Is he undervalued?
Without him, the whole thing doesn't work. Without him, they don't have a guy who can close outside of Joel. And usually perimeter guys close games. Bigs don't. So what Joel was doing was unprecedented. But yeah, they would be a big loss for them. They would not be as good. They would not be as effective offensively. They have a hard time scoring as it is. And it would be much more difficult without Tobias because you can't look to Ben for that because Ben doesn't shoot. And he doesn't want to shoot. He has no issue. So, amen.
Throw some stats out there. So last year they made the playoffs, 2019-2020, right? 19 regular season stats, 19.6 points per game, 6.9 rebounds, 47% from the field, 3.2 assists. When it came to the playoffs, though, where you would stamp your validity as a player, his belief that he's an all-star and he should be valued more. Playoff time, he dropped down to 15 points per game. He increased his rebound to 9.5, 4 assists, but only shot 78% from the free throw line and 13.3% from the three-point arc and 38% overall on his field goal percentage. So I think that's something that has to be factored in too. When they've been in the playoffs, Tobias has not shown up for Philly. So I don't know if he's really should be in the conversation of an all-star, and I don't even know if you really have a big three in Philly. I think it's big three by default, but they don't have a big three in Philly.
No. And also, I think on the first few podcasts I hopped on here, I referred to a Bob Myers quote. He said, "You don't earn max deals until you play in the playoffs. Because in the playoffs, teams take away what you do best, and they force you to do stuff that you're not doing in the regular season. They take away your left hand. If you like the 2-dribble pull up to the left, you're not getting that in the playoffs. They taking it away. So guys who perform in the playoffs at a high level are truly the best of the best. Like, period. So yeah, that's why if Tobias numbers they drop like that, right? It's because they take away his main bread and butter moves, and he has to go to other things. And he doesn't have counters for him. So he's not an all-world player. He's a solid NBA player who can help your team. And maybe when you put it like that, maybe he is a little overpaid, but I think in the regular season he's gonna help you get a lot of wins. And so that's the kind of player you're talking about. There was a time when the Nets were looking at a guy like him. Now we have KD, Kyrie, and James. So that was a long time ago.
Something that you just mentioned.
By the way, I want to take a brief break here. I have to do this, okay? For the Giants fan listeners, okay, I got to do this because I just saw an update come across my phone. Jordan Ranan from ESPN just tweeted, "My understanding is that Kenny Golladay and the Giants have mutual interest. Golladay wants to be in New York and has been pushing to make this happen throughout the process. And if the visit goes well tomorrow, it should be a done deal." So it's gonna be a Golladay tomorrow. All right, sorry. Back to
say a done deal. You just added that last part in there.
I did, but it's a done deal, bro. Yo, it's gonna be a Golladay. It's gonna be a Golladay.
All right, we'll see.
Go ahead.
Before we transition to the next one, something that you said I don't want to overlook though. You said players that perform in the playoffs are like considered some of the best players, right? Jamal Murray has played well in the playoffs. Are we putting him in that conversation as one of the best players though?
No. He did it with no fans, and he's streaky. He's just too streaky. He's just too streaky. He is. By the way, I mean, like, if he has all the ability in the world to be considered one of the best point guards in the NBA, one of the best players in the NBA. He is that good. Like, when he's on, it is really something special. But he is too inconsistent, and that's Denver's problem. Denver's going to do the same song and dance every year until they finally blow it all up. Teams are reluctant to blow things up. I mean, I know I'm going to go on a tangent here, but the Blazers are the perfect example. The Blazers should have been blown that thing up. CJ has to be traded. He's their most tradable asset. You can get a good 3 for him. They need a wing player that can get his own. They need Brandon Ingram or something like that. I'm not the biggest Brandon Ingram fan. Not I don't think he's good, but because I think he's just I don't like the way he plays. I don't think he's playing basketball the right way, even in New Orleans.
Are you about to say overrated?
That's a hot take. He is overrated. He is. I don't know if that's a hot take for people, but he is. I think he's a volume shooter. I don't like the fact that he doesn't take enough threes for me. Like he takes too many like low value shots. He's taking a lot of mid range shots, and not that I'm undervaluing the mid range game, but if you shoot that much, you're gonna want to mix in more threes. He takes a lot of shots, and he also he passes up like open 3-point shooters in the corners, like Lonzo, who's been killing it all year. He's just not hitting those corner guys, and he's just taking the shot instead. His first instinct is to score. He doesn't create for anybody else, and that's why I don't really like him like that. That being said, a guy like him would be good for a team like the Blazers. They need a 3 that's talented. A Jaylen Brown would be good for the Blazers. Like, he'd be perfect for the Blazers. But yeah, back to my originals. I got on a tirade there. Where we were at? Jamal Murray, right?
Yeah. But speaking of, so you mentioned Jamal Murray. No fans. I want to get your opinion on this too, Miles. No fans. He played well. Are we looking that way across the board for players that played well in the playoffs last year? A Tyler Hero, a Luka Doncic. Do we look at it differently because it wasn't a typical playoffs?
I mean, you can, but I feel like it's been a tough season this year, especially with the world we live in now, where COVID is alive and well. Because guys are getting it, they're having to sit out multiple weeks because of it. I mean, Tyler Hero missed time because of it. I mean, Jimmy Butler missed time because of it. So there's a lot of uncertainty game in and game out, like who's going to be available, who's not. So it's kind of tough to have the same consistency. But also comparing this to the bubble, I mean, like Greg was saying, there was no fans in there, so not as much pressure on some of these guys. So you saw guys like Tyler Hero, Jamal Murray. I don't want to say Donovan Mitchell, but he also was going crazy in the bubble. But they're not really doing that right now. I remember people were saying Hero's better than RJ, and I don't hear that much anymore. Like
Hero's better than RJ. Relax.
That's not a thing anymore. We're not talking about that.
It's very much a thing. We put up a poll. RJ got blown away. He got blown away. Yo, RJ,
because those people are Jack Harlow fans. Shout out to Jack making the Tyler Hero song. Perfect.
That's what ass.
Perfect segue, but RJ doesn't have a song made about him. That's why people love him. That's why people love Tyler Hero.
I love Tyler Hero because he dropped 40 in the playoffs. He's a bucket. Yo, RJ can't. It's not what Tyler Hero is a better player because Tyler Heroes have to play winning basketball for a longer period of time. And
I feel like we went over this. Like, he's surrounded by more talent. He gets easier shots. It's a lot easier for him to go off like that.
I'm not sure. Yo, who's better taking a wide open 3, Tyler Hero or RJ Barrett?
Obviously, Tyler Hero's been a better shooter since birth.
So
Kentucky a better shooter.
Would the Heat be as good as they are if you replaced RJ Barrett with Tyler Hero?
Well, him and Jimmy kind of would be clashing right there.
Why?
Like, Tyler Hero's, he's good at spot up shooting. That's his thing.
It's spot. No, it's off the dribble too. He's a scorer. He's a scorer. It's off the dribble, and we got film, bro. He's a scorer. All right, Barrett don't have that bag, bro. Offensively, now defense, they got it. You see what I'm saying? But as an overall offensive bag, it's Tyler Hero, far and away. It's Tyler Hero.
We'll see. I mean, RJ's high right now. He averaging like 24 a game the last week that we've been playing since the RJ. So I don't know what Tyler Hero's numbers are, but I ain't seen one post that has nothing to do with Jack Harlow in a while. So Tyler Hero, step your game up. I need to see.
Hey, by the way,
you're my boy from Kentucky, but step your game up.
By the way, Greg, just to throw it out there, because I know probably we post a clip, somebody will comment this. BI is averaging 6 attempts from the 3-point. By the way,
yeah,
you said he needs to take more. He's averaging 6.3 attempts.
You know my problem is with him, and ultimately though, like, well, I'm speaking out of hand. I don't have his stats in front of me, but even you take more threes, that's great. I'm sure someone had to talk with him about that because I know initially to start his career he wasn't doing that. You don't make anybody better. Brandon Ingram doesn't make anybody better. When you watch them play, he makes no one better. No one. The person who makes it all work is Lonzo Ball, and they're thinking about trading him. I hope they do, to be quite frank.
New York, we need a point guard desperately right now.
I've needed a point guard for the last 40 years and haven't had one.
Transitioning, Capital Facts. AJ Green will resurrect his career with the Cardinals. Capital Facts.
Facts. I think it's an overstatement that he needs to resurrect his career because I think that he was just mailing it in last year so he doesn't get hurt, so he could sign somewhere. I don't think he really wanted to be in Cincinnati. I know Chris might pop up on the screen and be like, I don't agree, but this is like, it was a thing. He didn't want to re-sign with them. I'm sure they tried, and he's probably their best receiver of all time, but he didn't want to be there anymore.
Whoa. AJ Green was their best receiver
My fault. I forgot about you, Chad. If you come on, I'll show you love. But second best receiver of all time. I forgot about Chad. But I think this is a good fit for him. He'll definitely get a lot of open looks now because they're going to be keen on D-Hop. He's going to be on an island against their second best corner. So second corner against AJ Green, I still think he's got something left in the tank. Yeah. He hasn't lost it yet. He's not done yet.
So basically he was a Blake Griffin of the NFL.
Essentially. Yeah, essentially. I think that's a really good comparison. He'll play better this year. The offense is wide open, it's spaced out. Kingsbury's really good at getting guys the ball. And they're going to throw the ball 50 times a game. So just off their pure numbers, they're going to put up a lot of points. Do I think they're going to win, get out of the NFC? No. But they don't stop the run. Football is a really basic sport, bro. If you can't stop the run and you can't run the ball, you're not going to win games. That's just
J.J. Watt, though. They got J.J. Watt now, though. It's a big piece.
Is J.J. going to stay healthy for 15 games? Is he going to give you 15 games of production? Is that a guarantee?
Well, he's got his powers back. He finally got out of Houston. If you've seen anybody that leaves Houston,
he's not even your typical a run stuffer. He's more of an edge guy. I mean, JJ can stop. He can do both. He's great, but he also isn't. This isn't 2015. If they signed AJ Green and JJ Watt in 2015, then we're not talking about anything. They're going to the Super Bowl. Let's do this. It's not the case. So. They're talented. They're a lot of fun. They're the sexiest team in the NFL. I really think that. But I don't think that they're gonna make any actual noise in the playoffs. I think they might win a game. They might. They're all flash, no substance. No, you know what I mean? They're all flash, no substance. Like teams, I'm telling you, like you gotta be able to stop the run and run the ball. Those are teams that win big in the playoffs. That's what Tampa Bay does. Tampa Bay stopped the run. They rushed the passer, and they ran the ball. That was it. Everybody talking about Tom Brady. That's what happened. Okay, that's what happened. That's why they won a Super Bowl because they did those basic.
I mean, you look at another instance. Ben Roethlisberger was averaging 35, 40 attempts last year. It just don't work out if you don't got no run game.
It doesn't work, man. The proof's in the pudding. You know what I'm saying?
You got to be able to have a run game at least at some point when you got to run that clock down. You can't be throwing the ball 2-minute warning, you up by a touchdown. You need to be able to run the ball. And if you can't, there's no point. Second one, cap or facts. The Chiefs, with them signing Kyle Long and Joe Thuney, they will have a top 5 offensive line next season. Cap or facts?
Okay. I mean, Kyle Long hasn't played in a couple years, so we got to see how long it takes him to get readjusted to the NFL. I mean, Joe Thuney's good, but they also just let go of 2 very good offensive linemen, and Mitchell Schwartz and Eric Fisher. So it depends. They still have the draft, just like the Cardinals. They still have the draft to fix all their needs and plug some holes, but I don't see a top 5 offensive line on this team. I don't see it.
I started thinking about who the top 5 offensive lines of football are. I started thinking about, like, yo, who are the top 5 offensive? I mean,
Cowboys,
the Packers, the Cowboys are not the same.
I mean, they were hurt. They were banged up last year.
Well, then fine. You want to throw them in there? You can throw them in there. Cowboys, Packers. Who else are we throwing in there? Who else is it? Oh, San Fran. San Fran probably, I think, but they probably have the best one. Who else are we missing here? The Titans have a very good offensive line, and the Browns. So no, the Browns have a better offensive line. So yeah, no, I just did process elimination in real time. No, the Chiefs don't. Okay, they're bringing back Kyle Long. Kyle Long hasn't played football in a couple of years, right? I think he took about a year hiatus.
Yeah, year hiatus. He unretired and signed with the Chiefs.
They use that for personal reasons.
That bag ran out quick.
Well, no, they don't have a top 5 offensive line. Lucky for them, they don't need that. They need a depth. I don't know what their depth. The real question is their depth. I mean, as you guys can see, the reason why they lost Super Bowl is because of their depth on the offensive line. Their lack of it. So do they have guys that can step in there and help? Do they have a Swiss Army knife offensive lineman that can play swing tackle? No? Then you're in the same boat. If one of those guys get hurt, you're done. Pat Mahomes is throwing balls parallel to the ground again. And that's the way it's going to work. So let's see what happens. But if those guys stay healthy, then that team can beat anybody in the NFL any given Sunday. And most Sunday they will.
Last cap or facts. Marvin Bagley, who just got injured again and will more than likely be out for the rest of the season, has underperformed as a number 2 overall pick. Cap or facts?
Facts. He's a bust. I hate Marvin Bagley.
Right.
I thought he was going to be good coming out of Duke, but it makes it worse that they passed on Luka. The Suns passing on Luka makes it worse because him and D Book would have been nuts, but the Kings had a shot because the Suns didn't take him, and they took Marvin Bagley. Everybody was hyped on the Duke train and college basketball and kind of down on the European players. But I don't think that's a thing anymore. People are a little higher on the European players, especially after seeing what Luka's come and done in the league at such a young age. But this is about Marvin Bagley. Haven't seen much from him. He started off decent to start his career and then just keeps getting injured. And everybody knows your best ability is your availability, and he hasn't been available lately. So I don't know. I don't have any confidence for them to give him an extension, which he's more of a trade candidate at this point for them than someone that's part of their long-term future, because they gave De'Aaron Fox the bag, so they're building around him. So they got to see what they can get. This reminds me of that Mitchell Trubisky, where they might be regretting that pick where they passed on that superstar.
Speaking of, before you go, Greg, something that you mentioned, he was from Duke. I've been saying it. Duke players do not really produce good NBA players. They really don't. I'm going to just throw that out there. What, Zion? We just talked about B.I. and how there's things we don't really like in his game. J.J. Redick. But, I mean, Duke don't produce really good NBA players.
Yeah, the majority of them haven't been that great. They've been underwhelming. You're right. You're absolutely right. Um, I was gonna say just because Miles hit the nail on the head. He really has been underwhelming. He's also in a terrible situation, but I mean, you're in a situation where you can still get the ball and score. It's a guard-oriented offense. It's not really created for him. I wonder if it's a fit thing because he is talented. Yeah, he is, and I think that maybe if he gets a chance to rebrand himself somewhere else, he'd be better. But the NBA is humbling. Just because you're the number 2 overall pick, top 5 overall pick, it doesn't guarantee anything. And we've seen a lot more busts in the top 5 than we have seen guys that become superstars. And people forget that. And so it's easy to get all hyped up about these guys coming in, and you just forget about the hit rate on superstar play or these players that become superstars. It's very slim, a very elite group to be in. So yeah, I mean it's tough, but I also don't think he's particularly happy in Sacramento. The thing is, he's earned no stripes in the NBA, so no one really cares how happy he is at this point. It's about producing and then getting the bag, and then you can be unhappy and start to force your way out of places. So we'll see what happens there, but it is tough to watch because I did like him coming out of Duke. I didn't like him as much as the other guys in that draft, but I liked him. I think where I thought he could be a really good NBA player, like a 20 point per game guy. Maybe I think it's still there under the surface, but he's not necessarily in the right place for that to happen. Especially with the addition of Tyrese Haliburton too. It's a guard-oriented offense. It's not made for big drives. So
yeah. Speaking of De'Aaron Fox at the game winner tonight, and of course before it airs and whatnot, people see it and they hit us up in the DM and go crazy. Of course, I'd be remiss if I don't mention Duke players. You mentioned Kyrie, who was there for like 2 weeks. He played like 6 games, and Jason Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of them and Zion, Grant Hill, who his career got messed up because of injury, who could have honestly been definitely in the conversation of top 20, top 25 players of all time.
I think top 15 if he was healthy. He was being groomed as the next Jordan, honestly. If you look at when he was coming up, Jordan was kind of on his way out. This young guy, Grant Hill. That's another conversation. I don't want to get.
No, you good. When we had Wayne on, Wayne say he watches a lot of Grant Hill tape, and a lot of people don't know and realize Grant Hill was really supposed to be the next guy after Jordan. But transitioning, top 5 backcourts. We're going to rank our top 5 backcourts. I'll start it off. Y'all could give me y'all comments, y'all agree or whatnot, disagree, and I could go into detail if need be. But everybody's going to give their top 5 backcourts. My number 1 backcourt, which I think we'll all agree on across the board, I'm going with Harden and Kyrie. Mm-hmm. I'm going with CP3 and D-Book as my number 2. Mm-hmm. Number 3, I'm going with Dame and CJ. Number 4, I'm going with LaMelo and Scary Terry. Mm. And number 5, I'm going with Russ and Bradley Beal. Who's y'all top 5?
He threw that curveball in there just to get us amped up for this.
LaMelo and Scary?
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta put them in the conversation. They are 20-18, 5th in the East. LaMelo, 20-19.
Crash right now.
LaMelo, top 10 point guard. You got a top 10 point guard, a part of your backcourt. I'm putting them up there, and they in the playoffs right now. I gotta put them up there.
They're better than the Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell combo.
Yeah. I'm taking them over Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, yes. Out of those 4, Donovan Mitchell is the best player out of those 4. But nah, I'm not. I'll take that.
I love Mike Conley game, man. I mean, that's a good question, Miles. It's a good question. This is hard.
That's why I asked you. I was like, are we going to do top 10? Because I feel it would have been easier. I wanted to give my love to LaMelo and Scary Terry for how they've been balling.
Top 5 is fine. I'm thinking down the list right now is like of these backcourts, and I'm Miles, you got your 5 listed already or no?
I got my five listed, but you want to go first?
Yeah, get your 5 listed. I want to hear you say something. I'm gonna disagree with.
I mean, the first two that Tone said basically the same. Like I got Kyrie and Harden. I don't think that's much of a debate. Chris Paul, D Book,
RJ Barrett and Alfred Payton?
Hell no. Only because Alfred Payton ain't holding his end of the bargain. But third, I had Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell. Like, you got to reward wins. Like, they're the best team in the league right now. And a lot of teams didn't have – I mean, a lot of people didn't have the Jazz in this position. And shout out to Conley and Donovan Mitchell for stepping up and bringing them to where they are. Because last year, Mike Conley, I think they benched him down the stretch because he wasn't playing up to what they thought they were getting from Memphis. And then he came back this year and he's had a rejuvenating year. So I got him and Donovan as the third backcourt. I mean, fourth, I got Dame and CJ. They're always going to be in the top 5 as long as they're together. Just because Dame is unreal. He's got to be in the combo easily for best point guard in the NBA. Might even be, but that's another combo too. And then my fifth, I got Westbrook and Bradley Beal. I don't think that one's that difficult. They've taken a little while to mesh, but now that they've both been healthy, because at the beginning, Westbrook wasn't healthy and things were looking a little shaky. Trade was looking a little shaky, but since he took that month off to heal up, they've looked good. I mean, they're not threatening anybody in the East, but since he came back healthy, this team has played much better, gotten right back into the playoff hunt. They're within the top 10 seeds in the Eastern Conference. And it has much to do with Westbrook and Bradley Beal. I don't think they'd be in this position if John Wall was there. But I think that Westbrook's added a different element. He's helping them learn how to win now. He's helping them fight.
Before you go, Greg, you mentioned the Jazz. I just want to ask this. By the way, they've been struggling since the All-Star break. They're 5-5 in the last 10 games. Just throwing it out there. I don't think they're going to finish as a number 1 seed, honestly. Do you trust, we mentioned it earlier, playoffs. You trust Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs?
This isn't a convo about trust. We're talking about top 5 backcourts in the league right now.
You don't factor that in?
I don't trust them. I don't trust them in the playoffs. But in the regular season, which we didn't get to the playoffs yet.
I'm saying you don't factor that in with your ranking? I'm factoring that in when you mention, like, for example, I'm going to have Dame.
So you trust CJ Terry to get them to the second round?
Yes. Terry has been in the playoffs with the Celtics. He's been proven. And LaMelo is just special, bro. I think that's where, because they have a better team, like you mentioned, Russ and Bradley Beal, they don't have that much help. If they had more help, I think they would be in a better position ranking-wise, like standings and whatnot. LaMelo, he will be able to play well in the playoffs because you got Scary Terry, you got Graham coming off the bench now, and you got Hayward there. So, yeah, I trust LaMelo more. Hands down. All faith in the ball.
Are they going to be successful in the playoffs? That's the question.
They get right now they're the 5th seed. So if they end up playing Miami, heck no. I don't. Yeah, that's
sweet. That's a
it's
sweet.
not relative. Success is getting there for the Hornets. That's what they need to do. Just get in, and then you have to surround Melo with good pieces. It's all relative. That's part of the thing. That's what when you said you're factoring in playoffs, that's made it even more hard. Because Donovan is a proven playoff performer. I don't have any problem saying that. The series against OKC a couple years ago, where he was just killing PG and Russ. I guess we're not going to talk, but killing PG and Russ, giving them both buckets. And then last year in that 7-game series against Denver, even though they lost, I mean, he was amazing. He was amazing. I know there was no fans, but he did it with fans in the building too. He's a bucket. He's an incredible player. He's a guy who shows up when it matters. I really believe in him. Mike Conley is underrated. Deserves his due. And so for that, I'll give him a top 5 berth this year. This year I'll give it to him because there's no Clay and Steph. So it kind of skews.
Of course.
I'll go in opposite order. So I'd probably give him the 5 spot. In my 4 spot is tough because I want LaMelo and Scary Terry is something different. They've been a lot of fun to watch this year. And the only reason why they've been half as good as they are is because of those 2 guys. Those 2 guys is why they're there. Just based off that, in this year, I'm probably giving them the 4 spot. The 3 spot, and this is gonna mirror Tone's list, and it's tough. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. The 3rd spot, I'd give to Dame and CJ. CJ hasn't really been here, but I trust them in the playoffs to play well. And to get you to the second round and get bounced because that's that team's ceiling. And Dame's amazing. Dame is amazing. So off that strength alone, 2 spot, CBD and Booker are a lot of fun to watch, and I think both guys one guy's playoff tested. Is going to show up when it matters most. They have a really good team. They're going to be a really tough out in the playoffs, and I think they can knock out most teams in the West besides the Lakers. I think anybody else can get beat in a 7-game series by that team. That's how viable CBD's been to them, and they deserve that spot. And the one, you already know the vibes. Nets World, Scary Hours. It's not even close. It's not even close. It's actually funny how much of a landslide this is. It's crazy. But yeah, that's the Nets, Kyrie and James are the number 1 spot. But yeah, I was thinking hard, about this because I thought Brad and Russ deserves a mention. But I thought about it, and I'm like, who would you rather have right now, Russ or LaMelo? That's what it boiled down to me. That's how it boiled down for me. I know people are going to say they would rather have Russ because Russ is a fan favorite now, and the Russ supporters love him and don't want to let him go. And I get that, but LaMelo was special. I think LaMelo is going to reach heights that Russell didn't reach, and I know that Russell's probably the greatest athlete to ever play point guard in NBA history, but he has warts in his game. He's wildly inefficient. He plays hard. He's the hardest player. He's the hardest player I've ever. He plays the hardest I've ever seen anyone play. Especially any superstar I've ever seen. I'll make it more specific. But LaMelo is just gifted. LaMelo's just gifted in a way that, in terms of feel for the game, that most guys aren't. And so off that strength alone, even as a rookie, I'd probably take him right now and take that backcourt right now. And Terry's playing all the time, just playing his best basketball of his career. So yeah, I think Tone's list is on the money. I didn't purposely disagree with you, Miles. I just, as I thought about this, I was like, it just made too much sense. But I did give the Jazz a mention. That may be the only difference between me and Tone there.
Yeah, I just didn't factor in the Jazz because I feel they're going to be kind of reminisce of those Hawks teams when Mike Woodson was there and Joe Johnson, and they was top seed, and Cleveland was like, shut up. We're not worried about you. And I think that's going to be the same thing. If Utah finishes with the number 1 seed, I don't think so. I don't think finish with the number 1 seed. I'd have money on Phoenix or the Lakers going on a run and getting that number 1 seed before Utah. And I think Utah will fizzle out when it comes to the playoff time. Donovan Mitchell, I think, is the only one really that's a proven playoff problem on there. Of course, Mike Conley had his time in Memphis where he played in the playoffs and played well. But I feel they're lacking. They're good collectively, but I feel they're lacking. I don't trust Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert, he's going to play his role as playing defense, but
I don't trust Clarkson.
I was just about to mention that. He doesn't have the best playoff experience.
No. When it gets tight, and like we just talked about this, when in the playoffs, guys take away the thing you do best. They're going to take away whatever Clarkson's going to. I don't watch him closely enough to be able to tell you. But whatever move he likes to go to the most, they're going to take it away. And it's going to get really hard for him to score points in the playoff series. They're going to make it really difficult. They're going to hone in on that. Because he's a guy that's been killing teams. It's been Clarkson that makes this engine go, because off the bench, he's just lighting teams up. Much harder to do that in the playoffs. You don't nomadic dude have the same problem every year. Terrence Ross comes in and it's just not the same.
And That's the thing with him too. When it comes to the playoff time, when it comes to scoring like that, the best thing for teams is for you to be efficient. And I don't see that happen. I don't see him being efficient. And it's not like Donovan Mitchell. It's not like a LeBron and Anthony Davis where you're going to get, no matter what, you're getting 30, 40 shots. Is Jordan Clarkson still going to give you that 15 to 20 points on only 12 shots? Is he going to do that? I don't think so. I trust Phoenix more. I even trust the Clippers more than the Utah Jazz. I think the Clippers are really just waiting to the playoffs. They just not really focused.
That's not good to just wait to the playoffs. They're not going
I'm not saying it's good, but I trust Kawhi, Paul George, Pat Bev more than I trust that Utah Jazz team.
Clippers don't scare me in the slightest.
No.
I'm a Lakers fan looking at them. They don't scare me in the slightest.
I'm a Lakers fan. Nobody scares me in the slightest, but I'm just saying specifically regarding Utah.
That's cap.
Regarding Utah, look.
They're talking about the Nets. The Nets have to be on your mind. The Nets have to be on your mind, bro. It's no way.
The Nets are in my mind as in I'm in New Jersey. The Nets are in California right now in my mind. That's where they are. Because y'all still don't have an answer for Anthony Davis. And God forbid for y'all's sake, if they get Andre Drummond, God forbid for y'all's sake, it's over. Don't even worry about it. Y'all could come to LA, hang out there. By that time, it'll probably be open. So y'all could, enjoy the beaches and stuff like that, but y'all not winning the ship. So that's that in regard.
He don't go over there and start shooting threes. That's what he's been practicing. And then you're gonna be pissed.
I got no problem with Andre Drummond pulling a couple threes. We let last year JaVale and Dwight get some threes off. So come to LA, come to Death Row Records. You'll be able to shoot threes. Over in Brooklyn, they're not gonna let you shoot. All right, they're gonna make you a live person. So come to LA. But one of the other point guards that we mentioned that we're going to talk about on the next show, Lonzo Ball is up for a contract extension. Do the Pelicans sign him? And if they do, or if they don't, how much money a year should Lonzo get? I'm of the belief he's anywhere between an $18 million to $20 million a year point guard.
Yeah.
That's where I'm of the belief of. But we'll talk about it on the next show. Bench Mob, I know the vibes. You stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. We out. Peace.
Peace.